Thanks, man. Thank you.
That's killer.
Thank you so much, bro. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
that's
you.
exciting.
I'm pumped, man. I'm pumped.
Yeah.
It's a good track. It's a good track. Sure.
But yeah, I mean, we met at Janiks EP release party,
We did.
and I was thinking to myself, I was like, do I acknowledge something or do I just kind of leave it be? But man, I left there and I was like, those guys were the coolest guys I've ever met. You and Joey and then who was the girl you were with?
Emily.
Emily, yes.
Yeah.
But man, I went home and I was like, I spoke to my girlfriend. And I was like, they were so cool. And yeah, it was just like an overwhelming, like, wow, that was so cool. These guys were so cool. I had so much fun. Am I in the right place? Like, am I doing the right thing? And all that sort of stuff. But man, it was so great to meet you that night. And I'm happy to have you here.
Dude, well, thank you. I am firstly flattered,
Yeah.
and secondly, I don't know what I did
I-
to be so cool.
yeah.
But I'm glad I was cool.
Yeah, man.
I
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Of course, man.
And dude, it was so lovely to chat to you as well.
Yeah.
I feel like we got along pretty quickly. And,
Yeah.
So it was such a cool space. Yannick's single.
It was,
release
man.
play. It
It was.
did feel like a great meeting place for people, for creatives or people who were trying to build something as well. So it was really
100%.
nice.
Yeah,
was great.
good way to meet people for sure.
Mhm.
Right. So this podcast is just all about talking about your journey through music. And actually, and we can cut this out. And this is something I want to talk to you about. But obviously, through research, I know about your dad's passing, and I want to make sure that you feel comfortable to chat about that on here. And if not, that's totally okay. But I'm sure it's such a big part of your journey. So just wanted to
Thanks.
give you
man.
that
Thank
space
you.
to.
I'm actually really okay. I like talking about it.
Okay.
Because I do think I've done a lot of healing and processing throughout. It's 10 years this year. So in context, that's a third of my life now.
Yeah.
Which is pretty crazy to
Yeah.
think to frame it like that. But I like talking about it because I think it's good for people that are going through it or
Yeah.
that maybe haven't processed a lot and I'm sure I haven't processed everything I need to process either. So talking about it helps that. It
Cool.
also, I think, helps create a platform where everyone feels if someone else speaks about it, then essentially it makes it okay for everyone else to speak about it, hopefully. So, yeah.
Cool, man. Okay. That sounds good. Sorry, terrible. I brought my phone with me.
Dude, that is so fun. I might even turn mine on.
Yeah.
Mine on do not disturb. Great.
Cool. I also didn't mean to do that right after we spoke about that, but anyway,
That's okay, bro. You're so fine.
cool. Right, let's dig into it, man. Journey through
Let's do
music.
it.
So, take me just up into the point where music was first introduced in your life.
Okay, so music was. I have the cliche musician story of music was. I don't know if maybe this isn't a cliche musician story, but the music was around my house when I was like a baby, and it was everywhere because both my parents are musicians.
Okay,
essentially, I think my mum used to dance with me in the living room as a baby for hours on end. She tells me so. Essentially, I feel like it was ingrained in me. I started playing music properly when I was 9. I started playing the drums essentially.
Okay.
And I played drums all the way up until I was 18 or so. Decided I didn't want to lug around a drum kit anymore because it's a nightmare. And I picked up a guitar when I was 15.
Okay.
And from then I was like, oh, this is fun. This is drums was fun. Drums is always really fun. But I think being an only child, I craved the spotlight a little bit more and playing guitar and singing.
Yeah.
I was like, I want to be up the front. Come on. But I started singing and playing guitar when I was 15. And but I couldn't sing in front of people. I just couldn't do it. I was terrified. I was so scared singing in front of people. And I remember I pulled my friend aside one day in high school, and I was like, I need to like show someone I can sing. Like I don't know who, but
Yeah.
pulled my friend aside. I was like, hey, can I sing you a song? And she was like, yeah, sure. Like kind of a bit confused. Like, yeah, all right, this is weird. And I think I sung her "I'm Yours" by Jason Mraz.
Why not?
It wasn't even me trying to make a move in any capacity. I was
Yeah.
just like, this is the song I know, and here it goes like this. And her reaction was really like encouraging.
Nice.
She was like, hey, that was great. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah.
Do you think it would have changed the course had she reacted differently?
Oh God, I could imagine that being a pretty traumatic experience.
Yeah.
Actually, essentially.
So
That'd be
maybe you need to
funny.
reach out to her and tell her thank you.
That's a great point. I mean,
Yeah.
imagine if she was like, "You're shit." That would, I can say shit, but I can't say the other ones.
Yeah.
Okay, is that?
No, yeah, you say whatever.
Oh,
yeah,
okay,
yeah,
good.
Yeah,
Oh,
sorry,
good. We're doing an adult version.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, I click the "It's not made for kids" button when I upload to YouTube.
Ah,
so,
good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So essentially, that was If she'd reacted poorly, I'm sure it would have actually been a traumatic experience. But
Yeah, I guess it's whether or not you came into it with a level of confidence that was untouchable, or if it was like, do you remember how you approached it? Was it like, oh, I'm quite nervous, but like, let's just see what happens, or was it like, I know I'm good?
I was shitting myself.
Okay.
No.
Yeah.
The
So yeah.
the confidence is relatively new.
Okay.
Like it took
Yeah.
endless amount of time to not only just become confident about my ability, but confidence to pursue it. Like it took me firstly a long time to even decide that maybe I could just pursue songwriting and like artistry. Maybe like I was probably 24 when I really lent into it, and I the first time.
And you're what now?
I'm 29.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So, the first time I played was in front of someone was 15. So it took it was a long road to go, like, get from A to B in terms of I can sing and play guitar, to, maybe this can be what I do with most of my time.
Yeah.
Prior to that, to be fair, that's the creative side. I was, and still do play at weddings and corporate
I remember you
events.
saying, yeah.
Which is a great, like I've got so much out of.
Yeah,
so.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, all of that sounds super interesting, and I want to really dig into kind of that journey with you of, getting more comfortable, getting in the groove of things. But first, let's go back to
Let's do it.
The drumming bit. What was it your parents giving you the drum set? Were you inspired by someone or something to play drums?
God. I don't know why I chose drums, because essentially there was a piano at home when I was young, and I used to like play around on that a little bit, but I never really did much with it. But essentially I picked up drums. I don't know, maybe I just wanted to like annoy my family.
Yeah.
Like I just wanted to make like loud noises for some reason.
Yeah.
But essentially I don't think there's anything that like, do you know what it could be? I had a lot of energy. I had a lot of energy, and I feel like that was a good way to like let out some energy, to be fair. But I just, that just landed on me. I don't know why.
Yeah. And what sort of impact did your parents have on kind of your musical interests or expectations?
Well, musical interest-wise, I've always kind of been geared towards like acoustic singer-songwriter. Pop music.
Nice.
I guess like when I know my dad was a big Bob Dylan fan, big Bob Dylan fan, and he was an artist himself, so I heard a lot of his music. I was always around music, always around his music.
Is there a bus along soon, blowing dust from the road to the sky on this drive?
going to festivals he played at, and my parents were actually Christian musicians.
Okay.
They both met in the church, and they toured as Christian musicians around Europe. Because I was born actually in the UK. I moved to Australia when I was 8. But essentially, when I was young, I remember going around to. So I think I listened to a lot of like acoustic Christian music.
Nice.
Which is such a weird reference, but I do remember there was a lot of Michael Jackson. There was a bit of Jeff Buckley. There was a bit of my mum liked Dido. I don't know why that's like sticking out of my brain.
Right,
White Flag is such a beautiful song. But my dad had an obscure taste. I think he was into bands like Prefab Sprout. I don't know if you've ever heard of Prefab Sprout.
No.
But it was that realm. It was not. So yeah, it was just spread. It was deeply spread.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah. Expectations wise, I was fortunate. No one put any expectations on me in terms of music. I almost tried to get away from music. To be fair, which look, that's later on in life. We can get there. But I think it just was there all the time. Like my mum would have singing lessons, would give singing lessons from home. My dad has studio out the back.
Yeah.
So I was just like constantly around music.
Yeah.
Which was a blessing. And a curse
Sure is
from
now.
time to time.
Yeah.
But a blessing mostly.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure a lot of those experience you can somehow channel, whether that's consciously, subconsciously, now in your own music and being comfortable around music. And I'm sure that had such a positive impact on what you're doing now.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I couldn't get away from it. So I'm
Yeah.
sure it, I don't know what I'd do if
Yeah.
I didn't do music. So I'm sure it has had a massive impact.
Cool. And so you picked up a guitar from the drums, sang and swooned a girl. How far did that take you before you said, I want to make original music?
Okay. Well, essentially, when I first started playing, I just enjoyed singing and playing. I was like, this is great. And I started, oh my God, that's what got me into guitar. Guitar Hero got me into guitar. Like I was like an avid Guitar Heroist. And me and my friends would just get together and like play Guitar Hero, and that was kind of all we did. And I was like, I should pick up a real guitar, that'd be awesome. And bought like the Guitar Hero tab book, like is thick. It's like an encyclopedia of all the Guitar Hero songs. It's a little tab.
I had no idea that even existed.
Oh,
That's
they
good.
do.
Yeah.
And I just try and learn cool riffs. Some were just way out of my depth. You know, some were like Smoke on the Water, so I could do that. But essentially, I just messed around for a bit. I messed around for a while, and I did some performances, but just as a guitarist for another singer. Because I just couldn't. I was so nervous to sing in front of people, and I don't know if it's like an Australian culture thing, but it's not so much. There's a lot of okay, I'm going to speak from my high school. There wasn't essentially a lot of bullying at my high school. But there is, I mean, maybe this is the same as every high school. There's a culture of if you're doing something that's a little bit slightly out of the norm, people will kind of be like, whoa, dude, like, get back in the lines. That's weird. Yeah. And I was terrified of that at that point. So I didn't want to sing in front of people. But I think I did at high school. I went to a Lutheran high school, so it was quite religious, and we had chapel every morning. And essentially I would... they'd get some students to perform sometimes, before the service, and I think I did that once, and I remember shitting myself. My hand was like visibly shaking.
This was the first guitar performance.
This was the first, I think, first guitar performance live. It's a bit of a blur, to be fair.
Sure.
I'm
sure some of this stuff,
lie.
Which is fine.
Yeah, that's fine. We'll make it up.
Yeah.
And
I killed it, and everybody was screaming my name.
Exactly. There was like a 12-minute standing ovation.
Yeah.
It was wild. Class was cancelled all week. All the teachers were like, man, this guy's going to be a rock star. Yes.
Straight A's.
Yes, straight A's. That's it. what got me into songwriting was Ed Sheeran. I
Cool.
found Ed Sheeran and I was like, whoa, this is like, I think I was year 12 when which is the final year of high school in Australia. And I listened to the first Ed Sheeran record, and I was like, I've never heard something that made me feel so excited about potentially making music or like writing a song or sharing a feeling through music. And I started to write songs when I was like maybe 18. Like I really did start quite early, but
Yeah.
I didn't write many, and I didn't finish them. And I would just write a verse or a chorus here and there, and be like, "Oh, cool, that's cool." And then I'd just go off and drink beer with my friends.
Were you recording them in the in a DAW, or were you
Not in a DAW, no.
No.
I was recording them on my iPhone, and I'd post them to Facebook from time to time. So if you do, I'm not sure if I want people to do a deep dive on my Facebook. But
you could say it, or we could cut it out
if you do a deep dive on my Facebook, you'll find some videos. Oh,
do you ever get the memories on Facebook?
Oh yeah, they're
Oh, my
terrifying. Some of them I'm like,
goodness.
did I say that?
It is
Get rid
unbelievable,
of that.
man.
Yeah.
My friends and I used to send videos to each other of lip syncing to like whatever was popular in the time, and we thought we were so cool, and we would get requests like, "Oh, please put a video on my wall, singing this song," and not singing it, but lip singing it, and like making the faces and doing whatever. And man, it is hard to watch.
I want to do a deep dive on your
Oh,
Facebook now.
goodness gracious.
We'll trade video for video.
Yeah,
That sounds like the origin story of a boy band as well.
yeah, maybe. Super
Yeah.
cringe.
Oh,
Anyway.
it can be.
Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like that's the end of my answer.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So, Facebook, and what was the reception like? Do you remember?
You know what? It was once again really positive. I was lucky enough to have a lot of encouragement from people when I was younger.
Did you take it as truth? Because for me, especially in the earlier days of putting myself out there as a singer or whatever, people would comment, and it would be family and friends through Facebook, and I'd be like, "Oh, they're just saying that," you know. And it like I needed some real validation from specific people to feel like, okay, maybe I am good, or maybe this is good, or whatever. Did you find that as well, or like did you struggle with that sort of thing, or if you maybe you don't remember?
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's the constant self-doubt monster we all have.
Yeah.
Some people seemingly don't have, but I'm sure they do. You know,
Yeah.
and we all get it. We all get it in certain capacities. You know, widespread across any industry. I think it's so vulnerable when you're like to sing in front of someone. And especially when you're young, like. One rogue comment can you'll remember that for the rest of your life. And no, I didn't take it as proper truth. I didn't, because it was like fuel. Fuel for enough confidence till the next one. And like I think essentially that fuel runs out, you know. I think that you need it's unfortunate, but I've never had that like true deep self-confidence. I do now. I do now in lots of aspects. There are still aspects I don't. It's a lot better than when I was 18, but back then it was shaky. It was very shaky, and it was very fragile, and it was nice because I'd post a video and it would get, and we kind of like tilting over into social media conversation, but you'd get a lot of likes, and I'd get a lot of comments, and I'd be like, whoa, this is like, people really like this. This is like way better than the profile pic I uploaded a week ago. You start comparing yourself as well, and that's the beginning of social media comparison. It's ingrained earlier, like, whoa, I'm getting love from this thing that I'm doing. But essentially, it was I didn't have like, it did help. It was encouraging, but I don't know if it like helps confidence, because I think that's so deep and subconscious. I don't think like, I think you need a lot of work and effort to build that up.
And once you put it on Facebook. When did you say, okay, I could be a singer, I could be a songwriter? Actually, I did want to know, what about Ed Sheeran inspired you?
Well, this is gonna sound so funny now.
Yeah.
Because like Ed Sheeran almost is like an ick in the music industry now.
Which is crazy to me because he's super talented, and I think anybody who gets to that stage, that world stage, that fame, is gonna get all that hate. But I don't know. I find it so crazy how people have that perception of somebody who's so talented, and you might not like the music or whatever, and it might be cheesy or whatever you may feel. But man, he's super talented.
Oh yeah. He's like one of the most talented
So
ever.
feel free to talk about it without
Yeah. Oh
thinking
yeah.
about who's
No,
thinking it's
no.
Nick.
I will back my Ed Sheeran
Nice.
fandom.
Yeah.
I have loved like. Look, obviously, everyone has their time in the sun, and I
Yeah.
do think the last couple of albums he's released I haven't connected with as much. But essentially, the first, I was a nut. I was so into it. And why I think I connected with it because when that first album came out, I don't think I'd heard anything like that. That really, really
Yeah.
deep cross between singer songwriter and pop in that way,
Yeah.
and very acoustic because like. Yeah, I couldn't recall any like purely acoustic mega pop stars
Yeah.
at that point. It was nice to I just thought the songs were brilliant. I thought the songwriting was cool. It was kind of the beginning of the uprising of modern singer-songwriter music in my opinion. And I don't know, it's one of those things you can't explain either.
Yeah.
I was just like, I love this. I want to do more. I want to do that.
Cool.
So everything I wrote back in the day was like literally just sounded like Ed Sheeran.
Nice. Yeah.
So it was, and I got so many comments on Facebook like, you sound like Ed Sheeran.
Yeah.
And like that was sick. Back in the day, I was like, that's awesome. This is
Yeah,
great. But now I'm like,
course.
no, I don't want to sound like it. I want to sound like me.
Right. Right. Yeah.
But yeah, it was something about his songwriting that I think like really blew me away.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think when you're young and starting out and you're trying to model yourself after someone, which I think we all did, yeah, those comments are thrilling.
Yeah.
To get them. When did you feel comfortable enough to release your own stuff?
Okay, so my first release was a song called House of Stone, and I released that in 2018.
Which I couldn't find.
I
It's gone.
took it off the internet.
Right. Yeah.
It's gone.
Yeah.
It is not
In the black
here.
hole.
It's in the black hole. I do
Yeah.
have the recording. I can probably send it to you.
Yeah.
After
Sure.
the podcast. If
Yeah,
you
why
wanna,
not?
Like,
Yeah.
insert it at any point.
Yeah.
But I went through a weird perfectionism process where I think that I was too afraid to release any. I was actually just too afraid to release anything because I was like, my conscious reasoning was like, it's not good enough or it's not ready, and I'd go through the whole process of recording an EP. I've recorded 2 EPs that I haven't released.
Wow.
Like fully produced and recorded and pretty much ready to go.
Branded, cover art, all of that?
Not quite cover
Just
art,
just
but
the songwriting.
music, yeah. And while I think it actually has been pivotal in my growth to go through that, and I do think it's actually a pretty common experience to go through. And I'm glad because I think I would, with the way I write music now and the current standard I feel like I'm at, I probably would have to take it down from the internet regardless, or like
Right.
change my artist name. But that was 2018. I released a song called House of Stone. And it was almost like tokenistic because I was like, I've done it. I released a song, cool.
Yeah.
And I was like, just kind of, I didn't feel at peace with trying to release music. It felt like a hard. It just felt like it took a lot out of me emotionally. So because I think I had that perfectionism and I had the fear of like being rejected or the fear of people not liking it. So essentially I released one song and then didn't do anything. I had the songs ready to go and I'd always tell myself, you'll release them soon. You'll release them at some point.
Yeah.
And I just never did. And I got to the point, I think it was 2021 was when Third Grade Art came out.
Great song.
And that was the beginning of really starting to feel like I could release music a little bit more. And it's been a very, very slow rise since then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to talk about the perfectionism for a sec,
Please.
because I think that's something that I also struggle
Sure.
with.
Yeah.
What was that feeling that you had? Was it that whatever I release needs to be it? Was it that you needed to feel good? Was it that you wanted the reception? Like, yeah, what was it about releasing music that kind of prevented you from doing so?
Ooh. I don't reckon it was like a conscious feeling. I think it was essentially, I'd pluck up enough courage to release the one song and then
Yeah.
go back underground and be like, whoa, okay, came up for breath and now I'm back under and where it's safe, where no one can listen to my music and judge me, where no one can. Do you know what I think it is though? I think it's like, and it's such a great question because I'm thinking about this in real time.
Yeah,
It's like, I think that we're, as musicians, and as anyone really, we have a certain identity. You have an identity and you act out that identity every day. And, music being so attached to my identity is such a double-edged sword because if you present it and give it to people and show what you can create, it can go one or two ways. It can go, people really, really support and love who you are for music versus like love your music, or they might not like it. And essentially, when you're so attached to a certain identity, it's not them not liking your music. It's them not liking you, or it's them loving you for your music, and it all hinging on your music is like. I just want to get away from that. And I still really struggle with that. Like, I don't know how yet for it not to be completely all encompassing of when it comes to my identity. And I think that's played a huge part in like not having released much music. Like part of me almost wants to like detach from the identity of being and then have it just be a more relaxed approach. Does that make sense?
100%, man. Totally connect with that. Who is they in this instance?
Well,
when you say
they is
they judging me, and you use better grammar than that, but
yeah. Well, I think it's.
Is
I
it?
don't think it's almost. I don't know.
Is it your circle that you're?
It's a good question.
Concerned about, or is it?
I don't think they actually exist. I think it's just a made up fear of like, it's just what it means about you as a person. Like if they could be anyone as well. They could be just a stranger on the internet. They could be. If it doesn't get a certain amount of streams, that could be they. Spotify could be they.
Yeah.
If you don't get enough views on a reel, that could be they. Like it's like when it's so attached to who you are, like whether you get a good response from external, whoever that might be or whatever that might be. I just think you can feel it can take it out of you and it can feel a bit shit. But then that's almost an excuse to it's a fear. Really. And you don't want to give in to fear. It's a weird middle ground of trying to work out how not to be super attached to completely attached to music. And it be a huge part of your identity, but also not giving in to fear and sharing your art with the world. So it's I don't know where to land. On that.
Fine. Yeah, it's still a process.
I'm working it out.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
In real time.
Absolutely.
And were you working with other people at this point, or were you self-producing, self-writing, doing all that?
I was working with other people. I was working with a really brilliant producer who is now one of my good friends. His name's Daniel Kellart, and he's from Australia. And he really like fostered my creativity early on. It was really nice to work with him, and he was, I'd go to his house, and he's got a huge mixing desk, and then a room for vocals and drums and guitar, and never been anything like that before.
Yeah,
it was just
that's
exciting.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa, this is cool. I felt like a rock star, and I feel like we do get I remember being really like proud of that and being like, this is cool. I feel like I'm hanging out with like, or I'm part of the rock star crew.
Yeah,
now, and it does boost your ego a little bit.
100%.
It absolutely boosts your ego. And he recorded my first EP. It was done really well, but the songs in hindsight were not ready.
Mm.
I only written like 6 or 7 songs for a 5-track EP, and so I didn't have much to choose from, and I wasn't a very good writer yet. So it just, you expect it. You go in and you be like, okay, this is gonna be it. I'm gonna make this EP, and it's gonna make me massive. I'm gonna be a rock star. I'm gonna be everyone's gonna love me. And
it holds so much weight.
Holds so much weight, and I really didn't. It doesn't come out sounding like Ed Sheeran, because they're not. Ed Sheeran writes good stuff, really beautiful, great songs, and the songs aren't quite there, so it doesn't quite land. So like, oh, this doesn't sound like.
But is that because you were comparing your songs and maybe yourself to what Ed Sheeran was doing, or do you think you were at that point, those were the best songs that you could create at that point? As in,
I think both are true. Yeah, I think I was absolutely. That was the best I could do at that point.
Yeah,
and also, I'm comparing myself to,
others,
Ed Sheeran or whoever it might be. That is currently writing, the biggest songs in the world.
Yeah.
And it's funny now, in hindsight, if we like kind of come more into present tense, like realizing how much music is written every day.
Yeah.
Oh my God. And it's like, I wrote 6 songs and I was like, yeah, these are going to be the biggest in the world. Of course. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I assume at that point you weren't doing it full time, whereas I think now you are. So I think there's more time for you now to write, 20 songs for maybe a 5-track EP.
Yeah, for sure.
I am pretty guilty, and no one has told me this, but I, upon watching back some episodes, very guilty of super digging into like the very fine details of the journey. So forgive me if I'm doing that too much.
No. Finer details are important.
They are. That's why I started this, because I'm so interested in how people got to where they are today. Obviously, specifically through music, because every step of the journey is so imperative to like the person and the artist, or whatever you're doing in music. Is and so anyway, let's jump ahead to Third Grade Art.
Okay.
Which is your first single on at least first out in the open single that's still there.
Yeah. Let's call it first single. This has been a revealing conversation. But yeah, I marketed it as my first single.
Okay.
And people believed me.
Yeah.
So that's fine.
How was that process?
Great. Really good. I recorded it with my close friend Joey.
Yep. Super talented guy.
Yeah, very talented. Got a project called San Joseph, S-A-N, then Joseph. Brilliant producer, brilliant songwriter, even better friend. So
nice, yeah.
Yeah, that was 2021. I wrote that song in 2019, like December 2019, in Sydney. And I wrote it with a very talented writer called Cyrus, and that was like a couple of months before the pandemic. So essentially, I didn't do much. I just kind of was trying to not drown in the pandemic, and then when it all kind of settled down a little bit, I was like, okay, cool. I want to release this song. So Joey and I produced it. Joey produced it, and I was there. Yeah.
Do you get involved with the production?
Creatively, creative direction wise, yes.
Yeah.
In terms of, I do produce a little bit myself, but I left it to him to do that one.
Yeah.
And essentially, I had a little bit of I had all the creative direction, but I would just have creative input, and I trust his creativity as well. So I just kind of let him go at it.
Nice.
And
yeah. That's such a cool relationship you must have with him, being really good friends, but also a collaborator. What does that relationship mean for you, to have such a close friend, but also trust them creatively, to help you kind of see your vision, basically?
Oh, dude, that friendship for me means everything.
Yeah.
I mean, you just take music out of it. He's my best mate, and we've been through so much together in the last 8 years. We've been really, really close friends. And we haven't worked much together. I'll be real with you. We haven't worked. We do now in later years. I think for me, there was almost like it's almost been like a sibling rivalry under the surface for me.
Yeah.
And is that me?
I think so.
No, I can't.
All good, all good.
Okay. Essentially, okay. So friendship wise, he's been my best mate, and we've done everything. We started a open mic night together.
Nice.
We started a booking agency business together. We've written a few songs. We're going home to finish. I'm going home to finish a song tonight with him for a record that I'm starting recording in 2 weeks. He's really great. He's such a great songwriter, and he's like, I think in our later years where it's been easier to collaborate, we're collaborating a little bit more, which is great. It's just a lot of fun. But weirdly, I do think there is, like, I've heard lateral stories about like your best mate. It's weird. This is a weird creative wedge, and for some reason, and there's been elements of that. It doesn't exist anymore. I think it's kind of just maturing a bit, but. He has produced 2 of my tracks, Third Grade Art and Someone I Never Knew. Someone I Never Knew, he did an amazing job of, and there's all these little Easter eggs in there, because that song's about my dad, who passed away when I was 19, so it's 10 years ago now. And in the middle of the song, there's this little speech that he makes that Joey put in there. I didn't even know he was going to do it.
Oh, wow.
And at the end of the song, he sampled one of my dad's songs. So the outro is just the start of one of my dad's songs.
That's amazing, man. Which
is really cool. And there's just all these little Easter eggs in the production that I don't think anyone would notice. But, so he takes a lot of care.
Yeah.
He's really, really, really cares. And I don't know how many hours we've spoken to each other over the last 8 years, but it would be astronomical. So he's a great friend, great musician, and I'm really, really honestly grateful for him in my life.
That's amazing, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
I could feel that when, I was with you guys in the short amount of time. There just felt like a deeper connection than the surface level, which was really cool. And, when you talk about that song, Someone I Never Knew, that must have taken an unbelievable amount of trust to give someone that sort of song, that those personal lyrics and everything, and trust them with something like that. So yeah, that's amazing, man. And the song is beautiful.
Thank you.
And you did it a string arrangement.
Oh yeah.
While you were singing it, which just adds to the beauty of the song.
Thank you.
No, I don't believe in heaven, but for you I make exceptions. So I hope that you can hear this. I can't believe it's 6 years, but I fell in love.
I don't want to run out of space to say this, so I'm gonna say now, Spaceship, man, it might be one of like my top 10 favorite songs of all time.
Oh, thank you so
And I don't mean that lightly. Like, it is so good.
Thank you.
We were Cupid's finest works so wide we have to crash and burn. No, I don't really get what I meant to learn.
I went home that night, or maybe it was the next day. We'll say it's the next day to not seem too keen. And I listened to your guys' music, you and Joey, and I was blown away. But Spaceship really stuck out to me. The chorus just like hooked me in a second.
I'm glad. Man.
Yeah, and yeah, it's a really special song. Yeah,
Dude, thank you so much.
Yeah.
I appreciate
do you feel that as well?
When I wrote that song, it kind of fell out of me in like an hour.
Wow, yeah, those are the
And
best.
it was like I've cried a lot. I'd just come out
Mm.
of a pretty serious relationship, and I was living with my partner, and then all of a sudden I found myself at my mum's, and I was just writing this song like a week after the breakup, just crying,
Mm.
processing and crying, and I basically remember I was consuming a lot of nicotine at that point, so primarily it would be like write one line, go outside
Right.
for a cigarette.
Yeah.
Write another line, go outside for a cigarette and a
Yeah.
cry, and it just like all just fell into place, and I was like, it felt really good,
Yeah.
and it was really really well brought to life by my other really close friend Jim Alexander, who's another incredible collaborator and producer, and he really embodied the feeling through the production. So yeah,
Nice.
stoked.
Yeah, man, it's unbelievable. And again, with that string arrangement that you did, I think you did those two songs, right?
Mhm.
Just really accentuated everything. It was so good.
Thank you.
Dylan Nash is somebody you've worked with. He's produced for like Dean Lewis, and I started following him recently. Super talented guy,
Yep.
which I think leads us to Drugs with My Friends.
It does.
Yeah.
It does lead us to Drugs with My Friends.
Cool. Also, man, great song.
Thanks.
Yeah,
man. Thank you.
again, watching episodes back, I say this to everybody, but I genuinely mean it. When I'm having these super talented people on, I can't help but like love their music as well. I've never said that about anybody's song being top 10. So, but really, like,
you.
I genuinely
appreciate it.
mean that. I'm not saying that for the cameras or whatever, but like,
Mm.
the songs are great. Yeah, Drugs with My Friends. Walk me through that process.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's actually got a pretty funny meaning behind it because it's very on the nose. Like
Yeah.
the song being called Drugs with My Friends. Essentially, it's a song. Look, it's basically a breakup song.
Yeah.
Primarily, it's about freedom and autonomy and being able to express oneself as they please.
Mm.
And in previous relationships, I hadn't necessarily given permission to myself to do that. I had a lot of conflict in previous relationships around. I mean, I'm going to, like, literally and also metaphorically, Drugs with My Friends represents freedom.
Yeah.
And I feel that, I got into a session with my other, and this is the thing, all of these collaborators are like my close mates, and I'm
Yeah.
so lucky.
Yeah.
Like, I got into there's two Dylans involved in this song. So Dylan Nash produced, and I wrote it with my my really, really close mate, Dylan J, who's another great artist and ex-rapper.
Okay.
And I don't know, I'm not even going to say ex-rapper, still a rapper,
Yeah.
still got it in him.
Yeah.
This is an absolute pivot, but we all lived together essentially in Melbourne before I left, and we'd all just sit around the table. Someone would beatbox, and Dylan would just do a like freestyle rap, and it's like those memories are so golden.
Oh,
But,
yeah. Oh, yeah.
And we got in, and Dylan was like, "We got to write a song called Doing Drugs with Your Friends," and I was like, "Really? That sounds pretty hectic." And he was
Yeah.
like, "Yeah, no, we got to do it." I was like literally called Drugs with My Friends, and he was like, "Yeah, that's a good idea." I was like,
So it just came to him like
Okay.
that.
and because it was, I'd had a lot of, I'm not going to get into the
Sure,
nitty
yeah.
gritty to be fair, but it was a song about freedom and
Yeah.
allowing myself to be free,
Nice.
and it just felt good. The demo at the end of the day felt good, and I was like, this is cool. This is
Yeah.
actually really like not like something I'd write, and that juxtaposition between Spaceship, then Drugs with My Friends.
Yeah.
it was really like, oh, this is Spaceship is the really sad moment. Drugs, my friends is like, oh, do you know what? I actually got all this freedom now. I can be myself. I can just lean into working out who I am a little bit more. And that was a great process. It was a lot of fun, and it's like making the music video was so much fun. I spent about 3 weeks editing a music video. And I don't make music videos.
Yeah.
But basically, the music video was footage I've taken over summer, and also like iPhone footage over the last 4 years of my life. With my
Wow.
closest pals, and
Nice.
I just and it was really fun. I'm so glad that I have it. I'll always have it. It'll always exist. It was really celebratory, and do you know what? I mean, for me, that's what music is. It's like being able to celebrate things that I've made about my life that I'll have forever, that I can show people in the future that I care about.
Yeah.
And like that is, and I made it about people I care about too. And like that trumps the idea of being a rock star every day, like by a fucking mile. So,
Yeah.
Drugs and My Friends was a very like therapeutic and exciting project. So I'm stoked. And Dylan Nash, it was just really cool to work with him, even though he's a really close friend of mine. He's so talented, so good, and he's an animal. He's an animal. So it was just fun to hang and like make a song.
Yeah.
So I was very grateful.
Creatively, what do those sessions look like for you? Is it you bring in this idea of a song and say Dylan Nash sort of just adds his talent on top of it, or are you guys building it together from the ground up?
Okay. So the song was already written with Dylan J, and then I bring the song to Dylan Nash.
Yeah.
And I'd say, here's the song.
And sorry, just to get into are you when you say it's written, you just like you have it up here or on your phone?
So essentially, I'll walk through the process step by step. So I write the song with Dylan J, and we'll get a demo at the end of the day.
Okay,
We'll just record guitar and vocals essentially,
Right.
And a couple of little parts of production, but it's just there as like,
Yeah.
here is the
Framework.
soft mold of what this could be, and then I wrote that in about maybe April, and I brought it to Dylan Nash in September. This was last year, so now just under a year ago. And basically, I'd play Dylan Nash the demo, or I would play maybe I just played it live for him, because all my demos are pretty much live anyway.
Yeah.
Then we get down some guitars and start building some drums and bass, and just see what happens and see what feels good, and just have a bit of fun, and go from there.
And are you there in every like how? So you're there while he's producing it, or you're there for a session and you guys have an idea where to go with the song, you leave and he does his thing, or are you guys always coming back to build it out?
Essentially, we were there. It was 2 full days.
Yeah.
And that's when we tracked everything.
Okay.
So we track all the guitars together. Yeah. We track all the drum. We'll program the drums. We'd track the bass. We track little instrumental lines. We'd each just have a go at doing something to see what sticks. Throw stuff at the wall, see what sticks. And then because he was in Sydney and I lived in Melbourne, I went back down to Melbourne, and out of everything we tracked, we'd have a vague idea of what it would sound like, but he would kind of like glue it all together.
Nice.
And then send me a version, be like, hey, this is how it's sounding, and then I go, cool, why don't we add this, or why don't we do this, and then we go from there.
And I haven't collaborated with many people, which is why I'm asking about it.
Please ask away.
Because a lot of my music making is in isolation with me in my room. But what is it like when there is a creative disagreement or a direction that maybe Dylan's going in, or whoever you're working with is going in, and you want to go another direction?
Usually we just like wrestle.
Okay.
And just like whoever
Physically.
wins. Yeah. We just physically wrestle in like 30 minutes of like, we start the timer and it's like 30 minutes
whoever
of like
taps out
shirts off,
first.
sweating.
Yeah.
Just whoever taps out first. that they don't get to use their creative idea. Essentially, it's like the fairest way. The way
Has
I
to
see-
be.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So when I go into a collaboration session
Yeah.
with anybody, I should wrestle them if I feel.
Don't even say hi first.
Yeah.
Just like literally get them in a headlock
Yeah,
and be like, we're gonna use my ideas today.
Before we get into the studio, I've got this wrestling ring.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But no, it's how we would usually do it. No, it's just a conversation. It's a
Yeah.
really nice. It's just a nice conversation about. Okay, I don't like that. Here's why.
Yeah.
Or I don't like that. I can't tell you why.
Yeah.
And it's essentially, I think, like leaning into your intuition
Mm.
is massive.
Yeah.
Leaning into your intuition and like, knowing what you like to, and I mean, like, I've just developed that over years of working out what I don't like
Yeah.
versus knowing what I do like.
Yeah.
And you go, look, you still learn, and it shape shifts over time
Yeah.
anyway. So but I do think like just leaning into your intuition and being like, it's simple, but like trusting it. Do I like this or do I not like
Yeah.
this when it's a new instrument's been added or something's in it? You're like, oh, something doesn't feel good there for me.
Yeah.
It's a lot about feeling as well.
And I guess
then
you
you
have
just
the
have a
final say. Sorry. I didn't mean to-
Oh, then you just have a conversation.
Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
go, yeah. And it's essentially, it's you like I think it actually takes a bit of time to be okay. There we
Yeah.
go. It takes a bit of time
Yeah.
to feel okay speaking up. It's been really good for my like conflict resolution because
yeah.
it's like I don't like conflict. I don't like getting into
Amen.
conflictual situations, and it makes me unsettled and uncomfortable and anxious. And I think disagreeing about creativity, it's a great practice to like be able to tell people,
Yeah.
you know, in real world practice, you know, take
Yeah.
it from like fake music land and put it into the real life processing.
Yeah.
Um,
Fake music.
yeah. That's. I think that's all I have to say.
Yeah.
On that front, I forgot what the
Yeah.
question was.
Me too, to be fair.
yeah. Okay. Cool. Well, that's a good sign. It sounds we're enjoying it.
yeah.
So that's good.
Exactly.
By the way, Jesse got me a chamomile tea.
I sure did.
This is
Yeah.
my rider.
Yeah. That was requested. That and a water,
Mhm.
and a Kit Kat bar, and a Snickers bar,
Yeah.
and what?
3 Tesco meal deals.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. It hasn't arrived yet.
Yeah.
but
No, it's
yeah.
the guy's coming.
The guys.
Trust.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Cool. All right. Nice.
Yeah. So, walk me through the process of moving from Australia to London for music.
Oof. Okay.
Yeah.
So essentially, So asterisk on the move. I have moved, but I haven't moved. I'm here
That's right,
for
yeah.
I'm here for 4 or 5 months. I'm actually leaving late August, which will essentially be, I think. Wait a second. So it's June, July. Hang on, wait. I can't
Yeah.
count this.
Yeah.
May to June is 1 month.
Yeah.
June to
I
July,
always.
July to August.
Yeah.
Okay, it's honestly going to be about 4 months
Okay. Yeah.
in total. It's a bit of a story here, and I think I want to tell it. And
Okay.
like,
Yeah. Go for it.
I think I moved here with the ambition of, you know, pursuing music over here, and that it's actually been great. It's been really good. I met someone before I left though.
Okay.
I met someone before I left, and that we just weren't going to chat. We were just going to kind of go our separate ways because the timing was obviously a bit off. And it was off for both of us for particular reasons. And 2 weeks into the trip, it might have been after I met you, or maybe I think it was before I met you. We kind of sporadically started chatting again, which in hindsight seems inevitable because we were both really into each other. And essentially I had this crossroads of like working out, because we just started chatting a lot, and I was like, I'm still so into this person, and I really miss them, and I really want to explore that, but I also want to explore being in London, and I don't know how to. And we're also like 5 months. Like I'm not going to see you. Like I'm not going to see her, and I don't think either of us wanted to do long distance, which makes sense. I think long distance is a really challenging thing to do.
Yeah.
And it came to there's a lot of I and also moving over here was quite overwhelming in the sense of socializing. I feel it's such a social place, and I feel like I do get social anxiety a bit. And the lifestyle is there's pub culture.
Yeah.
There's a lot of drinking. There's a lot of pubs.
Is that quite different to Australia?
I thought it wouldn't be, but it's fucking way worse here.
Interesting.
It's like there's a lot more drinking here, I think. People stay in their homes more in Australia because honestly, the spaces are nicer.
Yeah.
You can get more for your money in Australia and renting, and it's like, come to my house.
Yeah.
It's less like alcohol oriented, you know. So I essentially had a bit of a brain malfunction about like I don't know what to do here because I kind of want to be here, but I kind of want to explore this thing with this person, and also the socializing side. So I actually had a bit of a anxiety meltdown. That I'm still coming out of it, and because I think it was the plan had just kind of been turned on its head in a way that blew up a bit, and I couldn't work out what the right thing for me to do was. I couldn't work out what to do. So essentially, what I've landed on was and to be fair, we were gonna she was maybe gonna come over here, and we were gonna go on a trip, but then we also weren't talking, so it was so confusing. And I was like, and there was a deep irony. There was a deep irony, and I was here writing all these songs, right, living the dream, doing in London, writing sessions, meeting people, but I was just writing songs about her.
Yeah.
So I was just like, I don't know does it make sense to just lean into romanticizing the idea of a relation or exploring something with someone, or does it make sense to work out how to prioritize that? And what I actually landed on was I brought my trip end date forward. So I was going to leave in October, which would have been 5 months total. And I'm now leaving mid-August, and we've been it's besides the point essentially, but we've been chatting, and things have really settled, and I feel a lot more comfortable about everything. And
that's when you know you've made a good choice, when it feels right inside.
It was definitely a big curveball that I wasn't ready for. But it was the answer that made the most sense, and I feel like I got the best of both worlds, and I am getting the best of both worlds.
Nice.
And I think essentially the thing that made the most sense to me was the irony of choosing to write songs about someone versus actually experience something with someone. And I don't know what it looks like for where I am stationed in the future, and I'm just not thinking about that right now. But
and that's okay.
And it's okay, and I'm really cool with that.
Yeah.
But that's what I was going to say. So the goal of coming to London essentially was, and this was been a goal for a hot minute, was number one, see if I like living in London.
Yep.
Number two,
aside from this relationship, did you?
Yeah. I loved it. I
Yeah.
actually loved it. I think everyone has the same story and the same energy, which is there's a deep love-hate with aspects of England, i.e. the weather is terrible. It is go, go, go. I mean, it doesn't have to be, but for the music industry is go, go, go. If you're taking it seriously, you kind of have to be at things and meet people and so it's go, go, go. And the mentality here is it's energetic, and which is brilliant, but also it takes it out of you. And it's essentially, but I have really loved it. I've really loved it. So the goal was to write. Come over here, see if I've enjoyed it. Enjoy living here in general. Essentially, I have. Secondly, write the next EP here, which I did, and I wanted to play a show too, which I am.
Nice.
So I've actually ticked off all the things I want to do.
Right. Yeah.
And feel like I have because I was really not mentally great about a month ago.
Yeah.
And without getting too deep into it, it's just a lot of triggers for me and it brought up a lot of things in terms of social anxiety and attachment that sent me into spirals. And I don't know, people listening will either be able to relate to anxiety or not. And I think we spoke about it too.
We did, yeah,
You can relate.
100%. Yeah. I connect very much to that. Yeah,
it's a beast, man.
It
and when
is,
it gets
man.
hold of you, you're just like, oh, this is I didn't know this existed. Like it's something can trigger you and send you into this like space where, I like invited her to Scotland and then I retracted the offer because I was stressed.
Yeah.
And I was like, that is a that's not great. That's not
overthinking.
great for her. That's
Yeah.
not great for me. So I was like, I need to take a step back and work out my brain before I like put anyone through anything, including myself.
Yeah.
So anyway, it seems like a really nice middle ground of having achieved and completed and done what I came here to do.
Yeah.
While also keeping in mind something really important to me.
Nice.
So I feel like it's been a balancing act on a needle
Yeah.
that I've been trying to work out and pull off.
Yeah.
And so essentially that's been my move to London, and I've been here just over 2 months.
Yeah.
I feel like I've like lived a different life here so far.
Yeah.
I feel like there was my 29 and a half years in Melbourne, and then the 2 months I've lived in London. It's like I've learned so much about myself. I feel this now in like 6 months. I'm going to reflect and be like, wow, so much has happened, and so much is. I learned so much. So I'm really grateful. I'm not like I don't mind experiencing anxiety and experiencing difficulty because obviously it leads to more deeper understanding of why you do things and who you are. Also, it's testament to how neurotic I can be from time to time, which I think a lot of artists can be.
Yeah.
And it's a hard job working out how to navigate that.
Yeah.
I think, you got the bug too. Like creative people. And people that aren't creative have it as well. It's not just exclusive to songwriters, but
it's just finding that voice in your head that is true to you, and not the others, which can get in the way. And I think that's the battle, is trying to understand which voice should be given the space in your head.
Yeah. Well, you know what though? I feel like anxiety is so. This is now, I don't know if this is weirdly turning into like a psychology, mental health podcast, but I love this conversation.
Yeah.
It's my other deep passion is talking about human behavior, psychology, and
Yeah,
how people
man.
work. And it's the head that sends you into a spiral.
Yeah.
And it's like the most relief I've felt and also been learning about recently is like just getting into your body and being like, okay, well, I've got this alarm going off for whatever reason, and I need to work out how to soothe that, because that actually stops the brain going like this. It actually, like, if you can kind of take a second and work out how to acknowledge that, I'm feeling this thing. It's not real. Like it's we all have random triggers that, like, things that send you into a spiral. I would just that just won't bother me, and vice versa. So you do realize that those things, that's not a real I don't need to be worried about that because I'm safe right now. And I
Yeah.
need to learn how to get into my body. So it's been a lot of learning on that front too. So I'm grateful for that too, and I feel like London has brought a lot of things up to the surface, which I'm still working out.
Yeah, 100%. And you know, as tough as it might have been and still is, as you said, you learn a lot about yourself through those situations. And it sounds like you've kind of come to a good place in the end, which is great, man. And
Thank
happy
you.
to- You made a beautiful video on your Instagram and maybe some other places you posted it, but outlining some of the mental health stuff that you're going through, which is essentially what you've spoken about now. But I imagine it helped so many people just to hear that, because it's not often people genuinely come on that platform and speak about it. So yeah, it was great that you did that. It was a really kind of thoughtful and touching video.
Thanks,
which,
man.
Yeah.
It's definitely my most interacted with video. So I might switch into just self-report
Yeah.
health issues.
Yeah,
as a
yeah.
career. But yeah, do you know what? A lot of people did reach out and
Yeah.
and say, hey, that was really cool, and
Yeah.
that was I appreciate you having the courage to do that.
Yeah.
And I had some great conversations with people that really felt like, dude, I'm still replying to like people from that.
Yeah.
That was like, oh man, that's just over two.
Yeah.
It was like almost 3 Sundays ago now. And I've had a lot of great conversations with people back home and people here that I wouldn't have had otherwise. And I'm
Nice,
just stoked. I'm stoked that, because it's so important. There's just like this aversion to vulnerability that
Yeah.
people have, but we're all feeling shit all the time, all the time, and we
Yeah.
just don't talk about it. Like,
Yeah.
I understand there's a lot of nuance to opening up and being able to open up on certain platforms and
Yeah.
you know, maybe that's not safe in your world or whatever, but and that's sad, you know.
Yeah.
Not your world specifically, but whoever's world.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, it's nice to, because as I say, that's my other passion, and they
Yeah.
just kind of go hand in hand. Like
For
my
sure.
brain's just
Yeah.
constantly
Yeah.
trying to work things out all the time and looking at people and working out what they're feeling and they're feeling and they're
sure,
feeling
man.
what I'm feeling about
Yeah.
what they're feeling, and then writing songs about that.
Dude,
And like,
yeah.
it's mental, man.
is,
Like
man.
I need a rest from my brain from time to time.
I totally understand.
Yeah, yeah, good.
Um,
Do you
yeah.
want to share like about how?
I do, man. We are running out of time,
how much
but
time do we have?
like 3 minutes.
Oh
but
shit!
all good. All good. I didn't want to interrupt, and I'll just
Oh right. How is it? 1 hour?
hour 30.
Dude, okay.
Yeah, but anyway,
Okay.
no. I mean, I'd love to talk about it. On the way here, I was thinking heavily about because this is probably gonna be the 9th episode,
Cool.
and although I've had the opportunity to talk to some amazing people, I'm struggling to find my place in it, because I started this podcast to connect with people in the industry and just in general, to inspire me to kind of go back into the studio and start making music and all that. But now I'm spending all this time building this thing, and now I'm not doing the thing that I'm trying to connect with people on.
Oh yeah.
And I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah.
okay, so here I am. I've labeled myself as a artist, a singer, a songwriter, whatever that may be. I still don't know. But I'm not doing that thing.
Yeah, right.
And is it like, oh, am I just a music lover that likes chatting to people about music, or am I trying to connect on a different level, more artistry and that sort of thing? So that's the main, at least in this world, the main weight on my mind at the moment.
Sure.
Which is interesting.
man,
Yeah.
Well, you know what? I think you can definitely be both, of course. You know, just
Yeah.
working out how to do that
Yeah.
and how to split the time.
Yeah,
Like, I think
yeah.
that you create a really great platform for people to be able to share stories.
I
and
hope so,
it
man.
Sounds like you're interested in people's
Yeah,
stories, and
100%.
that's
Yeah.
equally a part of your identity.
Yeah.
So that's great.
Yeah. Thanks, man. Yeah. I mean, that stuff could go down such a deep rabbit hole.
We could.
But Angus,
We could
man.
do a 2-hour one.
Yeah. We could do a part 2, 100%. I'm just going to run out and tell them we need extra time so that you can perform. I don't know what this new song is about.
Okay.
I don't know if it's a good segue from what we've been talking about into
It's
it.
very random.
Yeah,
We'll
but
pull
either
it.
way.
Essentially, we got off track, but I've got a song coming out August 1st. It's called Dopamine,
Nice.
and I'm going to play it for you guys.
Amazing. Yeah. And just before you do it, Angus, thank you so much for coming on, man. I
Dude,
was really looking
thank
forward to
you.
this.
My pleasure.
And,
It's been great.
Yeah, it's been awesome. So
Thanks, man.
Appreciate
Thanks
it,
for having me. I appreciate it so
Cool, man.
much. You're
Thank
a
you.
legend. This is Dopamine. I wrote this song last year. I was in London for 8 days, and it's about an anxiety attack I had last year. So London's a great place for the old brain. Goes like this. My heart beats slow, comfort on the phone, new love, don't know, something I hope, sushi, restaurant, number 41, 2 nights on blow, I should go home, done with making sense, stomach in my chest, light a bunch of cigarettes, I'm smoking both the ends. I think I'm out of dopamine, and my friend just got back as the garden bench collapsed. Heaven or hell take hold of me, 'cause I'm somewhere off track. Someone promised me a path, and lately I'm drifting lost and in between a nightmare and a daydream. "2014, sold out memory, incognito, imposter syndrome, cover old wounds before choosing you. Older, who knew? Easier to bruise, done with making sense. Stomach in my chest, light a bunch of cigarettes, I'm smoking both the ends. I think I'm out of dopamine, and my friend just got back as the garden bench collapsed. Oh, heaven or hell take hold of me, 'cause I'm somewhere off track. Someone promised me a path, and lately I'm drifting lost and in between a nightmare and a daydream. Ooh. And I think I'm out of dopamine, and my friend just got back as the garden bench collapsed. Oh, heaven or hell take hold of me, 'cause I'm somewhere off track. Someone promised me a path, and lately I'm drifting lost and in between a nightmare and a daydream.
Dude.
Thanks, man. Thank you.
Killer.
Thank you so much, bro. Thank you. Thank you.
Exciting.
I'm pumped, man.